The pristine white envelope that arrived in Lily Porter's mailbox stood out from the usual stack of bills and flyers, its expensive texture immediately catching her attention. Her name was written in elegant calligraphy across the front, and when she opened it, she found herself holding an exclusive invitation to a week-long retreat on a private island, all expenses paid. The invitation mentioned a small group of professionals being gathered for creative collaboration and rejuvenation, but notably absent was the name of the host. "This has to be some kind of mistake," Lily muttered to herself, running her fingers over the embossed lettering. At 28, she was a dedicated marine biologist, whose work on coral reef preservation had been published in several respected journals. But she was hardly the type who received mysterious invitations to exclusive island getaways. After verifying the invitation's legitimacy through the contact information provided, Lily found herself packing a suitcase, still half convinced she was making a terrible mistake. The practical part of her brain, the scientist who demanded evidence and explanations, was screaming caution, but the adventurer in her, the same one who had driven her to explore the ocean's depths, couldn't resist. A sleek private jet whisked Lily and 3 other guests from Miami to a small runway on what the pilot called Helios Island. The other guests included a renowned architect, a technology innovator, and a celebrated chef, all accomplished in their fields, leaving Lily wondering even more why she had been included in such distinguished company. As they disembarked onto the sun-drenched tarmac, Lily was struck by the island's natural beauty. Lush tropical vegetation framed pristine beaches, and in the distance stood an architectural marvel, a modern mansion that somehow managed to complement rather than compete with the surrounding landscape. "Welcome to Helios Island," a polished woman in her 40s greeted them. "I'm Vanessa, the estate manager. Mr. Owens sends his apologies for not greeting you personally. He'll join you all for dinner this evening." "Mr. Owens?" Lily questioned. Vanessa's eyebrows rose slightly. "Yes, Oliver Owens, your host." The name registered immediately. Oliver Owens was the 33-year-old tech genius whose groundbreaking renewable energy company had revolutionized sustainable power generation. He was also notorious for his privacy, rarely appearing in public and never giving interviews. The media had dubbed him the invisible billionaire. "I had no idea," Lily admitted, suddenly feeling even more out of place. "Mr. Owens prefers it that way," Vanessa said with a smile. "He believes genuine connections form when titles and preconceptions are set aside." Lily was shown to her suite, a stunning space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. The room was appointed with every luxury imaginable, yet retained an understated elegance that matched the natural surroundings. On the desk sat a personalized welcome package, including a schedule for the week and a note thanking her for her groundbreaking work on coral preservation. Surprised that Oliver Owens would know anything about her research, Lily spent the afternoon exploring the accessible parts of the estate. The grounds featured infinity pools that seemed to melt into the horizon, meditation gardens, and a fully equipped laboratory that made her scientific heart race with excitement. At precisely 7 o'clock, Lily joined the other guests in the grand dining room. The conversation flowed easily among the small group, each sharing insights from their respective fields. Just as the appetizers were being served, a tall figure entered the room, and a hush fell over the gathering. Oliver Owens moved with quiet confidence, his presence commanding attention without demanding it. He wore simple linen pants and a white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up casual, yet impeccably tailored. His dark hair had a slightly tousled look, and his strong jawline was covered with just enough stubble to suggest he hadn't bothered with a razor that day. But it was his eyes that caught Lily's attention, piercing blue and intensely focused, as if perpetually analyzing the world around him. "Welcome to Helios," he said, his voice deeper than Lily had expected. I appreciate you all taking time from your busy lives to join me here. Throughout dinner, Oliver engaged each guest in conversation about their work, demonstrating an astonishing depth of knowledge across multiple disciplines. When he turned his attention to Lily, she felt an unexpected flutter in her stomach. Dr. Porter, your paper on accelerating coral growth rates in damaged reef systems was remarkable, he said. Have you considered applying your techniques on a larger scale? Caught off guard by his familiarity with her research, Lily fumbled momentarily before regaining her composure. The funding required for large-scale implementation is beyond what most research institutions can provide, she explained. And there are logistical challenges with deploying the technology in remote locations. Oliver nodded thoughtfully. Those are exactly the kind of problems I'm interested in solving, he said, his gaze never leaving hers. Perhaps we could discuss it further during your stay. The evening progressed pleasantly, and Lily found herself increasingly drawn to Oliver. Despite his wealth and accomplishments, he listened more than he spoke, asking insightful questions that revealed a genuine interest in understanding others' perspectives. The following morning, Lily woke early and decided to explore the island's shoreline. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in spectacular hues of pink and orange, when she noticed a solitary figure standing at the water's edge. Even from a distance, she recognized Oliver's tall frame. Hesitating briefly, she considered turning back to give him privacy, but he spotted her and raised a hand in greeting. "You're an early riser, too," he observed as she approached. "Force of habit," Lily explained. "The best time to observe marine life is often at dawn." "I've always found that the world makes more sense in these quiet hours," Oliver said, gazing out at the horizon, "before the noise and demands of the day begin." They walked along the shore together, an easy silence between them punctuated by occasional observations about the island's ecosystem. Oliver pointed out the sustainable features he'd incorporated into the island's infrastructure: solar arrays disguised within the landscaping, a state-of-the-art water reclamation system, and buildings designed to minimize environmental impact. "Why did you invite me here?" Lily finally asked, the question that had been nagging at her since she'd received the invitation. "The others there all renowned in their fields. I'm just starting to make a name for myself." Oliver stopped walking and turned to face her. "Because your work matters," he said simply. "And because you approach problems differently than anyone else I've encountered. Your solutions are elegant, practical, and driven by genuine concern for the environment, not just academic recognition." His words warmed her in a way the morning sun couldn't, and Lily felt something shift between them, a connection forming that went beyond professional admiration. Over the next few days, the group engaged in the planned activities. Brainstorming sessions focused on sustainable innovation, guided explorations of the island's diverse ecosystems, and creative workshops designed to foster interdisciplinary thinking. But Lily increasingly found herself seeking Oliver's company during free moments, drawn to his curious mind and unexpected vulnerability. During one afternoon session, when the others were engaged in a virtual reality demonstration, Oliver invited Lily to join him on a tour of the island's marine research facility, a section not included in the general itinerary. "I built this 3 years ago," he explained as they entered a building partially submerged in the lagoon, "but I've been struggling to find the right team to utilize it fully." Lily's breath caught as she took in the sophisticated equipment, much of it custom-designed and more advanced than anything she'd worked with before. "This is incredible," she whispered, moving from station to station with growing excitement. "The monitoring capabilities alone could revolutionize how we track reef health." Oliver watched her with a smile. "I thought you might appreciate it." "Appreciate is an understatement," Lily laughed, her eyes shining. "This is the kind of setup marine biologists dream about." "It's yours to use while you're here," Oliver offered, "and perhaps longer if you're interested." Lily turned to him, confused. "What do you mean?" I didn't just invite you here to participate in the retreat, Oliver admitted, suddenly looking uncharacteristically uncertain. I've been following your research for years, and I believe your methods could be scaled with the right resources. I'd like to fund your work, no strings attached, complete academic freedom. The offer was so unexpected that Lily couldn't formulate a response immediately. Why? She finally asked. There are dozens of established researchers in this field, but none with your vision, Oliver said simply, or your determination. Their eyes locked, and Lily felt the weight of unspoken words between them. Oliver was offering her the opportunity of a lifetime, but she sensed there was something more beneath the surface of his generosity. That evening, while the other guests were enjoying a film screening, Lily found herself wandering to the eastern side of the island, where a natural rock formation created a secluded cove. To her surprise, she discovered Oliver sitting alone on the rocks, gazing at the night sky. "Sorry," she said, immediately backtracking. "I didn't mean to intrude." "You're not intruding," Oliver assured her, patting the space beside him. "Join me." Lily hesitated only briefly before settling next to him. The night was warm, with a gentle breeze carrying the scent of salt and tropical flowers. Above them, stars blazed in a brilliant canopy undiminished by light pollution. "I come here to remember my place in the universe," Oliver said softly. "It's easy to get lost in the daily concerns of business and responsibility. The stars have a way of putting things in perspective." "I feel the same way about the ocean," Lily admitted. "There's something humbling about standing at the edge of something so vast and mysterious." They talked for hours, their conversation flowing from professional passions to personal philosophies. Oliver spoke about growing up as the socially awkward son of a physics professor, how he'd found refuge in technology and mathematics when human connections proved difficult to navigate. Lily shared her childhood fascination with tide pools and her father's death, when she was 16, an event that had cemented her determination to pursue marine biology and honor his love of the sea. As the night deepened, Lily found herself drawn closer to Oliver, not just physically but emotionally. There was a rawness to him that the public never saw, a complexity beneath the genius and wealth that made him unexpectedly relatable. "Can I show you something?" Oliver asked suddenly, standing and offering his hand. Lily took it, feeling an electric current pass between them at the contact. Oliver led her along a hidden path cut into the rocks, eventually emerging at a small, hidden beach accessible only by this route. "This is my favorite spot on the island," he said as they descended to the sand. "Watch." As if on cue, the water at the shoreline began to glow with bioluminescence, each wave creating a cascade of blue light as it broke upon the shore. "Dinoflagellates," Lily identified automatically, her scientific mind momentarily taking over before the sheer beauty of the phenomenon captivated her. "It's magical." Oliver was watching her reaction rather than the glowing waves. "I discovered this by accident shortly after buying the island," he said. "I've never shown it to anyone else." The admission hung between them, heavy with implication. Lily turned to find Oliver's gaze fixed on her, his expression vulnerable in a way she hadn't seen before. "Why me?" she asked quietly, the question encompassing more than just this moment. Oliver took a step closer. "Because from the moment I read your first paper, I knew you were different. Your passion, your integrity, your brilliance, they resonated with me in a way nothing else has." He paused, seeming to gather courage. "I invited you here under the pretense of a professional retreat because I was too afraid to simply ask to meet you. And now that you're here, I find myself wishing you never had to leave." The honesty of his words stripped away any remaining barriers between them. Lily reached up, gently touching his face. "I'm glad you found that paper," she whispered. When they kissed, it was as natural as the waves reaching for the shore, inevitable and perfect. Oliver's arms encircled her, strong and protective, while the bioluminescent waters cast them in an ethereal blue glow. The remaining days of the retreat took on a dreamlike quality for Lily. She participated in the scheduled activities alongside the other guests, but every free moment was spent with Oliver. They explored hidden corners of the island, discussed ambitious plans for marine conservation projects, and shared quiet moments that deepened their unexpected connection. On their fifth evening together, Oliver arranged a private dinner on a platform built high in the canopy of an ancient banyan tree. Surrounded by twinkling lights and with the sounds of the forest around them, he finally explained the full story of how he discovered her work. 3 years ago, I was looking for environmental initiatives to fund through my foundation, he began. One of my advisors suggested reef restoration, and as I researched the field, I came across your early papers. There was something in your methodology, this elegant way you combined traditional knowledge with cutting-edge technology that captured my attention. Oliver reached across the table, taking her hand. I followed your career from that point, reading everything you published. When I built the marine lab here, I designed it with your research in mind, hoping that someday I might find the courage to reach out to you professionally. And instead, you created an entire retreat just to meet me, Lily asked, both flattered and amused by the elaborate lengths he'd gone to. Oliver had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. The retreat was already planned as a think tank for sustainable innovation, but yes, you were the reason I finally scheduled it after 2 years of postponing. The other guests were selected based on how their expertise might complement your work. That's either incredibly romantic or slightly stalkerish, Lily teased, though her smile took any sting from the words. Probably a bit of both, Oliver admitted with a self-deprecating laugh. Social graces have never been my strong suit. I'm much better with algorithms than people. I don't know, Lily said softly. You seem to be doing just fine with this person. As their time on the island drew to a close, an unspoken tension grew between them. What had blossomed in this paradise would soon face the test of the real world, her academic commitments in Florida, his global business empire headquartered in California. Neither mentioned the approaching separation, choosing instead to savor each remaining moment. On their final night, Oliver invited Lily to join him for a sunset cruise around the island. As they stood on the deck of his sleek sailing yacht, watching the sun sink below the horizon in a spectacular display of color, he finally broached the subject they'd been avoiding. I have a proposal for you, he said, his expression serious. And I want you to know that it's completely separate from how I feel about you personally. Lily tensed, unsure what to expect. I want to establish a marine research foundation, Oliver continued, dedicated to implementing your reef restoration techniques on a global scale. Full funding, a team of researchers at your disposal, and partnerships with conservation organizations worldwide. You would have complete scientific autonomy. Lily's mind raced with the possibilities. It was a career-defining opportunity, the chance to make a real difference in the fight to save the world's dying reefs. And if I said no to the foundation but yes to us, she asked carefully, would that change things? Oliver's gaze softened. Absolutely not. My feelings for you aren't conditional on your acceptance of my professional offer. They're two separate things entirely. And what exactly are those feelings? Lily pressed, needing to hear him articulate what had been growing between them. Oliver took both her hands in his. I'm falling in love with you, Lily Porter. These days with you have been the happiest of my life. I know it's fast and probably seems insane, but when you know, you know. His vulnerability touched her deeply. It does seem crazy, she agreed. We've known each other for less than a week, but... She moved closer to him. I feel it too. Relief and joy washed over Oliver's face. So what happens when we leave tomorrow? I refuse to believe this ends just because our geography changes. It doesn't have to, Lily said thoughtfully. My research position at the university is flexible. I could split my time between Florida and California. Or, Oliver suggested cautiously, you could consider basing your new foundation here on Helios. The facilities are already in place, and the surrounding reef systems provide a perfect living laboratory. The idea was tempting not just professionally but personally. Still, Lily was hesitant to rush into such a dramatic life change. "I need to think about it," she said honestly. "This is all happening so fast." Oliver nodded understandingly. "Take all the time you need. Whether you're here in Florida or anywhere else in the world, what matters is that we figure out how to make us work." When the retreat concluded the next morning, the other guests departed on the private jet that had brought them. Oliver asked Lily to stay one more day, just the two of them, before reality reclaimed them. She agreed without hesitation. They spent that final day swimming in secluded coves, walking along deserted beaches, and making plans for how to navigate their relationship across distance. Oliver would fly to Florida the following weekend. Lily would visit his San Francisco home the week after. They would make decisions about the foundation and their future together gradually, giving their relationship space to develop naturally despite its unconventional beginning. As they lay on the beach that night, watching shooting stars streak across the dark sky, Lily realized that sometimes the most unexpected invitations led to the most extraordinary journeys. She had come to this island expecting professional networking, and instead found a connection that defied logical timelines and conventional wisdom. "What are you thinking about?" Oliver asked, his fingers gently tracing patterns on her arm. "How sometimes the most important discoveries happen when you're looking for something else entirely," she replied. "Like a marine biologist who came to study reefs and found herself falling for a reclusive billionaire instead." Oliver laughed softly. "And like a socially awkward tech CEO who invited a brilliant scientist to his island for her mind, and ended up captivated by her heart." 6 months later, Lily stood on the deck of the newly commissioned research vessel that would serve as the mobile headquarters for the Helios Marine Conservation Foundation. The ship was a marvel of sustainable design and scientific capability, equipped with everything her team would need to implement reef restoration projects around the globe. Oliver joined her, slipping an arm around her waist as they watched the sunset together. "Ready for your first expedition as director?" he asked. "Almost," Lily replied, leaning into his embrace. "But there's something I need to ask you first." "Anything," Oliver said without hesitation. Lily turned to face him, taking both his hands in hers. "These past months have been the most extraordinary of my life. We've built something amazing together professionally and personally, and I've realized that I don't want to wait any longer to take the next step." Oliver's eyes widened as Lily pulled a small box from her pocket and opened it to reveal a simple platinum band. "Oliver Owens," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Will you marry me?" For a moment, Oliver seemed speechless, a rare occurrence for someone with his brilliance. Then his face broke into a radiant smile. "Yes," he said simply. "1,000 times yes." As they sealed their engagement with a kiss, Lily marveled at the journey that had brought them to this moment. An unexpected invitation, a private island, and a connection that had grown from intellectual admiration to profound love. What had begun as a professional retreat had evolved into the greatest adventure of her life, one that would now continue with the man who had captured her heart with his brilliant mind and gentle soul. The Helios Foundation's inaugural expedition would depart tomorrow, taking them to threatened reef systems across the South Pacific. But tonight belonged just to them, two people who had found each other against improbable odds, proving that sometimes the most beautiful discoveries happen when you least expect them. 1 year later, they were married in an intimate ceremony on the very beach where they had first witnessed the bioluminescent waves together. Their foundation had already successfully restored 3 major reef systems and was revolutionizing conservation practices worldwide. But for Lily and Oliver, their greatest achievement remained the love they had built, a partnership of equals that balanced passion and purpose, adventure and stability. They made their home on Helios Island, turning it into not just a private sanctuary but a center for environmental innovation where scientists from around the world came to collaborate. And each morning, they still walked the shoreline together at dawn, two early risers finding clarity in the quiet hours, grateful for the invitation that had changed everything.